This podcast is sponsored by RSA Rock and Metal Fans Facebook page.
Hey, Johnno, how's it going?
Hey, there we go. All good, my friend.
Awesome. Brilliant. You made it.
Fantastic. Yeah, easy as pie.
Hey, come on now. Jeez, like, as for a guitarist, try to remember how to do Zoom. The technology.
Yeah, because I got these guitar students lately, and then they pay me up front, and then they want to do lessons, but then when the lesson comes, they cancel or they postpone. So, I'm like, dude, you got to do your lesson sometime. So I never actually get to actually do the Zoom,
But they pay you though.
Yeah, they pay up front, and then but I want them to do the lesson so they can pay me again.
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect.
Yeah, but anyway.
Cool, man. How you doing?
Very well, man. Very well. Yeah.
Are you stressing out with everything that's going on?
Man, I suppose everybody's been a bit stressed, and I suppose it's you can just see it and feel it with everybody. But luckily, I've got good friends and good backup and so on.
That's it.
And also I've been on the road with Piet for 25 years, so got a thick skin, luckily.
Yeah.
And we can survive anything. It's just got to be positive. Keep the positivity going.
That's it. Keep that positive wheel turning, man. So I'm gonna dive absolutely straight in. Now, I didn't know all that much about you, and I certainly didn't know much about Piet Botha either. Really, very, 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 like, absolutely next to nothing. And we have a mutual friend, Norman Booth, and shout out to Norman for firstly suggesting that I chat to you, and secondly, every time he goes on SME Fusion Radio, which is not very often. But every time he goes on, he says, Jonathan Martin, nonstop. And I'm like, who is this Jonathan Martin person that he keeps banging on about? I was in this bubble of hard rock metal, and it wasn't really sort of expanding my music mind. Although I do have an eclectic taste, I listen to big bands and jazz and everything like that. But still, it's more about, for me, understanding South African musicians more than anything else, and that's what this podcast is about.
I mean, look, you can't know everything. That's why people turn you on to stuff. You know what I mean? Like every week, a friend of mine, actually our bass player Tash Duplessis, he turns me on to new music every week. So your friends are the ones who are gonna turn you on to music. It's the best gift in the world, is to share music that you love and that you think is cool and that someone else will enjoy. And it creates a good friendship and bond. You have something in common there. But also, like according to Norman, Norman's amazing because he's promoted me all over the world. People are buying my album in Sweden now and all over the place because of him.
Well, I want to get straight into the Nebulous Night, dude.
Cool.
When you sent me the Bandcamp link a couple of days ago, and I was like, and everything will be in the description below, all the links to all the socials and Bandcamp and so on, so people can go and find it. Go buy it on Bandcamp, people. Don't stream it. Go and buy it. And that's where the artists make the actual money.
It helps us a lot,
Absolutely.
Musicians actually get the bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. So Into the Nebulous Night, man, and I was like, okay, I went straight to Bandcamp and had a listen. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is something else. I mean, this is
cool.
You don't think it's maybe it's a flaw. Being a South African, you listen to a South African artist who goes, oh, that's so South African. Well, I don't know if it's a flaw, if it's just a genetic thing or something, but you don't sound South African. It sounds, that's a stupid thing to say, but you sound so incredibly international.
Well,
it's like if somebody said to you, where's he from? You could go, well, I don't know,
Yeah. This is the thing, and I've had that a lot lately. Where are you from? When I send my link, because people are not, because if you go down in my page and you read the biography or whatever, and you'll see South African and so on, But a guy from Spain last night asked me, you know, where are you from? You know, like, where's this music from? I'm like, well, I'm born South Africa, you know. So I hear what you're saying. And luckily for me, I was able to record in you know, world-class studios as well, which helps.
Yeah, that
Have
sound
world-class
of that
producers,
album.
world-class mastering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there.
No. Sorry, man. I'm just so excited to talk about the album because it is.
Yeah, you know. So
spectacular.
look, we only had, especially the last album. Now we had this studio was actually so expensive. We actually only had 4 full days to do it.
Whoa.
But really worthwhile. You know, it's Sunset Studios in Cape Town, and it's just a magical studio. And I don't know, for those listeners out there who know Piet Botha's album, Suitcase for Winter, and Jan Skopgraaf, and also the anthology albums where Liberty was recorded, that's also Sunset Studios, but 20 years ago. So it's full circle that I actually came back to Sunset Studios with Jürgen as engineer, Tim Langfeld as mastering, and Jake Gunn on the piano, Jorik Pinar on drums, and Wouter Reineke on bass, and then I did the rest myself. And I'm really proud of the album, and especially the artwork. You know, I don't know if you noticed the artwork.
I did have a look at the artwork. Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, it's
done by a guy called David Griesel in Cape Town. Yeah. So if you go on if you go down on the links that you'll show the people, you'll find the artwork there as well, which is really great.
It's I was trying to think of, usually one of the questions that I tend to ask the artists that I speak to is, what genre do you place yourself in? What do you think?
Well,
because
friend,
I mean,
this is the thing. You know what? I had an opportunity years ago. You know what happened? The actual album In My Blood, which is my first solo album out of the Jackhammer band. I mean, I was part of the Jackhammer band, recording and touring with them, and then on the side, I did this album called In My Blood in 2006, just when my daughter was born.
Right.
And this album got to Leo Economides, who I'm a big fan of, and I don't know if you know who he is.
No.
Anyway, he's a legend in the radio, in South African radio, and musicologist. You know, worldwide known. He used to do the Dinosaur Days on 5FM. And so on. So I've learned a lot of stuff from this guy. But anyway, he had a connection in New York where he actually sent my album to this record company. So speaking of genres, they loved the album, they loved everything, but they told me I do too many genres in one album. So they can't sign me. I got to do one genre on one album.
Just based on that.
Tell Neil Young, are you going to tell Neil Young to do a blues, you can't do a blues song and a rock song and a song with an African vibe on one album? I mean, come on, you can do anything you want.
That's ridiculous.
That's the whole point. But I mean, that's the industry, you know what I mean? That's how it goes. The record companies want your album to sound the same throughout. It's got to have that sound, you know. And I listened to that advice, and I tried to, with this last Into the Nebulous Night album, I tried to have the continuity there. I don't know if you noticed that.
Definitely.
There's definitely, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to all the old stuff that I had.
I haven't yet.
Norm's
thankfully has sent through the anthology one, the best of that one.
So that's a good example, you know. Then you'll see that this album has got a lot more continuity in genre-wise.
Right.
Even though I do, you know, jump from place to place, it's just who I am, you know. But this album's a lot more stable as far as genre is concerned.
But there's nothing worse than being pigeonholed. I mean, as an artist, you should be free to do what you do.
I agree with you, you know. But luckily, you know, those record companies, they don't really have a big say anymore, you know, in what goes on. As much as the music industry has been destroyed, it's also been, you know, pulled from the ashes like a phoenix, you know, for musicians like me, or any other ones that are, you know, really dedicated and motivated and no matter what, no matter what hardships you face, you're going to stick with it. Because it is hard out there for new bands to make it and to get your music out there, because there's so much, and for people to listen to your music and for you to stand out, you really have to make people listen somehow, and that's why I like to do these kind of opportunities with you, or any kind of opportunity that gets the music out there, or the information.
Absolutely. It goes hand in hand with basically just marketing, isn't it? I mean, what I do is just basically talk. It really isn't difficult, but I guess you got to have a passion for it, which is exactly what I'm going to talk about now. Is that after I listened to the album Into the Nebulous Night, I was just like, what words can you put to the album that make it sound like what you're hearing? And I couldn't think of anything. I was like trying to think. It's absolutely stunning. It moved me. Now, for me, for an album to move,
haunting, maybe haunting.
It's very haunting, and that's really good, because the last three tracks, Save This Light, Woman and the Pouring Rain, and Into the Nebulous Night, they're kind of like a theme. They could all be one song.
Yeah, I actually felt that about the whole album. It could actually be one song.
It's like a concept. That's the word I was looking for.
And that's why I like the whole thing of Into the Nebulous Night. When I found that word nebulous, I was like, this is it. This is the word. It just says everything about the road and my life. And, it's the unknown, the misty, the hazy, the mysterious.
Yeah. It's almost ethereal kind of. It's sort of
absolutely. There. It's a very open word, actually.
But it brings me back to the very first question: is what genre is it, though? I mean, it's blues rock. I get that.
No, I wouldn't say blues. I wouldn't say blues on this album at all. There's one song that's got a bit of blues in it, and that's G minor blues in the key of D. The song is called Beautiful. G minor blues in the key of D.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the only song that's really got a blues intro, but the chorus and the rest of it is hard rock.
Like I said to you in the chat, off air, it's like that switch up, and then that cool down again in G minor blues in the key of D is brilliant.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, it's that key change.
Yeah,
we're in G minor, and then we go, now we're going to B flat, you see. So
excellent.
That's why, yeah.
I mean, it really is, for those that are listening to the podcast and haven't heard the album, or any of Jonathan Martin's stuff, click on those links below in the Bandcamp and go and have a listen. I think you might be incredibly surprised, and your pedigree. Let's just touch on this now, because I think this is going to play a large part about your journey in music. Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
When did you know that you were going to be a musician? Because you started with Piet Botha and Jack Hammer at a very young age.
Yeah.
So let's go all the way back.
Okay. I actually, well, as far as, knowing I wanted to be a musician, I think that I knew when I was like, a little kid already. I used to mess around with a tennis racket as a guitar and perform in front of the family, and then, write little songs, make up songs with friends, and, draw pictures of myself. I was a big Beatles fan because my folks listened to the Beatles, so there was always Beatles and that kind of stuff in the house. But, I pictured, I drew the Beatles, and then I'd add myself on the stage with them,
Okay.
So this was at the age of like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Okay.
So already then I was already developing this whole idea, but I actually, after that, I lost interest, and I thought I was going to go to the army, I wanted to be like a special forces or some kind of maniac, or, which really freaked my mom out. She was like, hell, Then the music thing came back to me when I was, at the age of 13, 14 again.
Right.
And then I really went for it, started bands, garage bands, literally the whole neighborhood would be on the wall, around the garage and listening, and good times,
Yeah.
just figuring it out and messing around and making a noise.
Yeah.
And, just cutting your teeth, on the thing. And then I got like when my mom died in a car accident in 1996, just after that I joined with Jack Hammer, which was just turned 19 years old.
Wow.
And he was busy at that stage. He'd just done Ghosts of the Wind album,
right,
and done the ZZ Top tour, Uriah Heep, I think Jethro Tull as well. So they just came off that, and he wanted to do an Afrikaans album. And he told me, he would like me to, to join in with him. And he was busy in the writing phase. So I took the cello, which I also play, and sat next to him at the piano, and we worked out the parts and the melodies.
Wow.
And in the end, that became, the album Suitcase for Winter, and I joined the band full time. We went on the road.
Did he contact you?
He did.
I mean, how did that come about? That you meeting him or him meeting you? Or...
well, look, I actually used to go to Jack Hammer gigs when I was like 15, 16. Okay. I knew of Jack Hammer, because I was in a band myself back then. I think it was called Ward 8 or Penny Dreadful. And I actually, I knew that he had advice, and I got his number through my mom, which is also involved in music and so on, and she knew him from way back, and she said to me, call this guy. Jeepers. So, I called him, and he was, just the way Piet was, he'd say, call me next week. So I'd call him next week, and then he'd say, call me next week. I'd call him next week. Call me next week. And finally he said, he'll come around, and I got a case of beer, and we sat and talked. And nothing happened after that for a while, until my mom died. At the funeral, he came up to me and he said to me, you're going to come join me now, and I know you'll at least do 5 years with me.
Wow.
And it ended up being over 20 years,
Jeez.
He died last year of pancreatic cancer.
You're right. Yeah. We're gonna. I mean, that must have been pretty a hectic blow for you.
Yeah, and it still is, for a lot of us, who looked at Piet as our mentor and best friend, kind of, he was just one of the best guys in the world to be on the road with. And he loved the road. He taught us about the road, about the music and the magic of the music, and the importance of a band, the camaraderie, it's a lot of things he taught us, and I think I'll actually write a book about it.
I was going to say, I'm sure you got plenty of stories,
road stories, little short stories, because I enjoy writing as well, creative writing. So
Tour tales, man. Tour tales with Johnno.
Tour tales, man. Absolutely. It's going to have to be, I don't think my daughter will have to be a bit older before it's released, but we can release it, No, for sure. It's amazing what you remember if you actually, just sit down and,
the question is, as an artist, will you actually find time to sit down? Because I know artists that are constantly on the move, constantly have to be doing something.
Well, that's true, because you're 24/7. You're either doing admin, or you're practicing your scales and keeping your fingers from turning into arthritis or whatever. And,
is that a thing? Is there a thing that you can practice to?
Yeah, well, absolutely, because I'm 43 years old now, and I've been playing live 250 gigs a year for 20 years. So I can really feel in my arms, I forgot the name, what it's called, but it's some kind of joint thing, tennis elbow kind of thing,
okay.
That I already got.
Repetitive strain, whatever. Injury.
Exactly.
RSI or something like that, or something it's called.
That that kind of thing, And if you don't sit down and practice your scales, I say scales. You can practice anything, do whatever you want, but I practice, warm up a bit of scales and then do this and that. But you got to do it every day, And I learned that from Piet because I saw how he grew older. Because when I joined Jackhammer, I was 19 and he was 43, which I am now.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old. He was 20 years older than me. So I know now
what he was kind of going through. Yeah.
What he was going through then. So it's actually amazing. Yeah.
Jeepers. So what tour tales can you tell us now?
Well, you know,
they can be as un-PC or as PC as you want.
In the beginning, it was amazing for me because it was this magical thing, you know, like the road, and I'd never been on a proper tour, you know, like not international but like national tour.
Yeah.
32 gigs in 31 days.
Wow.
In a combi with a band. Your gear is in the car, and you know the bottle of Jack is opened and the cap is thrown out the window, and there you go. And you know,
so you don't have a choice. You got to finish that bottle, otherwise, you know, there's no wasting Jack.
Pipe, and it's just, and I mean, it's just a magical place. And then you get to the town, and you set up your gear, you hang around, you have a few beers, you play the gig, you pack up. And Piet was famous for this. He'd always we pack up the gear, and then we hit the road. No going to the hotel.
Wow.
So we hit the road, and we hit the next town.
Wow.
Maybe there we get to a place, we rest a little bit during the day at some lodge or friend's house, and then we go set up, play the gig. After the gig, pack up and hit the road. He loved the midnight drive through the mist, you know, and we on a buzz from the gig, you know what I mean? You're on a.
I can only imagine the conversations must have been wild.
Exactly, you know, old stories, ghost stories, and maybe we see a few ghosts on the road, you know what I mean? And,
wow.
You know, that kind of thing. It's so I miss that, you know, really I do. We still do tours and stuff, but not to that extent where, you know, there was only one Piet, you know, and nobody wants to play a gig nowadays and get on the pack up your gear at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and hit the road to Vosloorus or wherever the hell you're going.
Yeah.
You know, so it's one of a kind experience, that, you know.
And you had that for how many years? 20 years? 25 years?
Yeah, I mean, we toured like that for about 15 years, I'd say. In the last 5 years, Piet kind of calmed down and we flew a lot more.
Okay.
And he got a bit tired of you know, the driving was, you know, he still did the tours. We did it, but not the long hauls, you know what I mean, that we used to do. I mean, he was in his 60s then, and I mean, you know, he was already getting sick, I could see, and he broke his back, and
jeez.
You know, a lot of things take its toll. So you got to kind of slow down, and you know.
It must be. I mean, it must be incredibly hard for an artist to realize that you got to slow down after doing it for so long, that repetitive over and over and over.
The thing is, you don't realize it until you hit a brick wall.
How did he break his back?
You know? Well, that was just a freak accident. He kind of like tripped backwards and tripped over he walked backwards on stage and kind of like tripped on a monitor and fell backwards off the stage, you know. So it was a freak accident, you know. So
that is insane.
Total freak accident. And he didn't know he broke his back either until the x-rays the next morning, and we insisted that he goes and checks it out because he didn't want to go.
Yeesh, I don't know.
But I mean, he was in traction then for 6 months, you know. So, and then, you know, it's learned to walk again and stuff. So,
wow,
you know, he was a tough old bugger, you know, Hammer. Yeah.
What are the most memorable shows with Piet and Jackhammer?
I'd say, you know, look, all of them were memorable.
I was just going to say, you're going to probably say all of them, yeah.
I mean, you're either like going to be leaving there with, you know, a crowd throwing bricks against your combi's windows, you know, on the way out. Or
has that ever happened? That's the question.
Running after you with
has that ever
underwear
happened?
over their heads. Yeah, those have both happened.
Oh,
you know,
really?
The bricks the bricks throwing at the car vibe, that was in Jeffreys Bay the one year.
Whoa,
And,
Jeffreys Bay is like the most chilled out place, man.
Well, depends
Not
where
that
you
night.
played and who's there, you know. So, well, we actually went back up there and said who threw those bricks, and no one came forward. So I don't think they were that brave. But anyway, but then you get the girls that run after you. That was in where was that? Well, that's everywhere, but that's, no, I'm just kidding. You know, no, I'm kidding. No, that was. I think I think most of the women loved Piet. You know, I mean, he had this thing. He really had this way with women. You know, well, I mean, we've all had our girlfriends and stuff, but once we settle down with our wives and stuff, then you know, it's and kids and stuff, then it's it's family life. You know. So then you do your tour and you can't wait to get home to see your kids and your wife or whatever, you know.
The band Jackhammer, does that still exist?
It does. It does still exist. There was one thing that Piet, before he died, he said, "You got to keep the band going," and we're actually doing a show now. But the thing is, the band is the way that he wanted it when he died. He said, "This is the Jackhammer band," which is Tasjes van der Wal on bass, Tasjes du Plessis on bass, Paul van der Wal on drums, Jake Gunn, Jacques Groenewald on guitar and vocal, and myself on guitar and vocal. So, or piano or cello or whatever. And so when we get together, that's the Jackhammer band.
Right.
And we do that every couple of times a year. It's not like we do it all the time because, we don't want to overdo it. But when we do these shows, it's only Jackhammer songs, and we're basically just remembering and honoring Piet, basically, and his songwriting and those days. So we're doing it on the 29th of November at the Willows Country Lodge in Pretoria. Sunday afternoon vibe on the deck, beautiful.
Nice.
So if you're in Pretoria, the 29th of November, get to Willows Country Lodge at
the
1
thing
o'clock.
is that this podcast is only going to come out on Monday the 21st of December. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Okay, I see. Okay, so it's coming out in December.
Yeah.
Okay, so Merry Christmas. No, that's fine. Then look, I mean, then that's absolutely cool. You're going to miss a lot of the earlier gigs, but it doesn't matter. You'll be definitely look at the
socials,
links at the bottom, and you'll see the gigs and I'm sure there'll be a Jackhammer gig coming up soon after that.
Awesome. So the question now is, after Piet died, was it then that you decided to go solo, or was it prior to Piet's death?
No, I was doing it already while in the band.
Right.
The thing is,
so why go solo then?
Well, it's not going solo. I think I was still a member of the band, Jackhammer, but I had a side project, which Piet also did. He had the Lizard Kings, which he did with Akadis band.
Yes.
So it's like you have all this material that you write, and it doesn't really fit in with the Jackhammer format. So you have your own kind of urge to release ideas and feelings, and I think they're more personal, in a respect that I write. All my songs are written about personal experiences. It's not made up fantasy nonsense. It's just it's real stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
And you'll hear that in there. So I think a lot of my songs, like in my solo stuff, is more about my personal life, and the stuff I wrote with Piet in the Jackhammer is more about world events and life on the road. Not that I don't write about life on the road and my JOHNATHAN Martin stuff, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. You got to have an outlet.
Absolutely. The thing is, there's a saying, publish or perish, that Piet always said, and you got to keep busy and writing. So when I finished Into the Nebulous Night, which was in January, I was ready to release vinyls and CDs and go on major tours and then the COVID thing hit us, and I had no idea what the hell to do. And luckily, the Bandcamp thing happened. I could sell my music online.
Yeah.
and get the money immediately, because with iTunes and all those, you don't see any money as a musician.
Yep.
You know, so that's where I take my hat off to Bandcamp. You know, they really look after the musicians.
Particularly the Friday Band Friday thing, or whatever it's called.
Exactly.
You get 50% off if you purchase an album or something crazy like that. But I noticed yours is you can get that already on your stuff on Bandcamp.
Look, so I just put that. I did that. If you buy my entire discography,
yes,
50% off.
Yeah.
But,
$26 and how many albums? 6 albums? Or
6, yeah, 6, and one of them is a double album, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You can't go wrong, can you?
Yeah, no, it's look, and the thing is with Bandcamp as well, they say there's a minimum. Okay, let's say for an album $10. You can pay more if you want.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to support this artist, you can pay more. I mean, like a guy in Russia, you know, then he'll pay $35 for an album, or a guy in Germany will pay $15 for a single album, or so on. You know, or someone will pay $10 for, you know, it just depends.
Yeah. Yeah,
or someone will just listen to it for free on iTunes. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
It just depends how you look at the whole thing. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Yeah. That's a Bandcamp.
If you have the money, the thing is, a lot of people don't have money to buy music.
Yeah, you're speaking to one of them.
You know, and it's a fact. And I don't judge those people, or I mean, I'm one of them too. You know, so I buy music when I can buy music, and I don't buy when I don't, and I expect the same from other people. If they have the money to buy an album and they want to support, do it. If you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
It
there's
doesn't
no
mean
wrong
you
or
mustn't
right.
listen to the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because music is good for you. You have
absolutely.
To. It's a healing thing. You have to have it. It's like being a social being. You know you connect with something. You know. Beyond yourself, you know what I mean?
That's exactly it, and that's exactly how I felt when I listened to Into the Nebulous Night. It was like I said, it moved the soul. I felt something that
great,
was.
Thank you for that.
No, look, I'm not. Anybody that's spoken to me will know I don't blow up smoke anymore, or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. I don't blow smoke up anyone's butt.
Yeah.
But I'll only ever say what's actually in my mind. So people like it, they like it, they don't. That's great. No, I'm not bothered by that. But that album is very special. You can hear it, and I was surprised. Again, wrong word to probably use, but your vocals. Now you say you did with Piet and Jackhammer. You were doing backing vocals and stuff like that. So when did you know that you could sing?
Well, I was always singing. I was always a lead vocalist in all the bands from garage bands.
Oh, right. Okay.
So when I joined Jackhammer, I joined as a vocalist as well. And I don't know, like, bands like Pink Floyd and Lynyrd Skynyrd and, you know, and Guns N' Roses and you name it. There's multiple singers in the band, Rolling Stones and so on, Beatles. It's not just one front man and he's a band like Jackhammer. At one stage we had 3 singers, Jake Gunn, myself and Piet Botha. So and each of us would have a chance to sing main vocals, and then the other ones would go back and do harmonies.
Nice.
Or then guys that know the band will know what I'm talking about, but those who don't, you'll understand that with bands like the Stones, for instance. Then Keith comes up and does The Worst, or something else. Then Mick Jagger will sing backup vocals, or then the Guns N' Roses, let's say, then Duff comes up and sings a song. And then Axl will back him up and stuff. So that's how it was with us. And there was no like ego vibe and this one you're getting too much attention or stuff like that. That doesn't exist with us. That's why this band has lasted for so long and still lasts to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, show me another band that can do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's talk about your influences then. We mentioned Beatles. Go on.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, I got a wide variety of loving music, just like you said yourself. I mean, I go from classical music, which is, I got that from my mom's side, you know, from, let's say, Vivaldi, Mozart, Beethoven,
Nice.
to, let's say, Ali Farka Touré, West African music,
Wow.
to Sepultura,
Wow.
to Metallica, to Megadeth, to Rolling Stones, to the Beatles, to Rory Gallagher,
Okay.
to the blues, to John Lee Hooker, to Neil Young, folk guys like Nick Drake.
Yeah.
I got a very, very, very wide variety of,
Do you think that,
loves.
I was going to say, do you think that sort of laid a path for you, having such an eclectic influences around you?
I think definitely did.
Imagine being brought up and only listening to one genre.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I did that for a while, where I would only listen to thrash music. You know, I think I was in what's standard 6, first year in high school,
grade 8 or something like that.
Yeah, you know, I was studying classical guitar at that stage, but I just wanted to play thrash.
Yeah.
You know, I only wanted to listen to thrash metal. I didn't care about the
studying
blues.
classical guitar.
I did study classical guitar for a while.
Okay.
Yes, I did up to grade 7, and then I didn't do my grade 8, but I did my grade 5 music theory at the Royal Schools. Yeah, and then I played cello in the orchestra, which I think also influences you. You know, because
how did that come about? The cello.
Cello was that was my mom. When she died, she left the cello behind, but then I used it on all the albums from then onwards. But before that, I picked it up and I played at the school's orchestra. You know, I think I was third cello or something like that.
Wow.
And we did James Bond theme songs and things like that.
Is that why I can hear the cello in your latest album?
Yeah, you'll find the cello in a lot of Jack Hammer albums, most of them.
Okay.
Especially a song called Mozambique, and you'll find it, especially in the new album, Into the Nebulous Night. I especially made an effort to put the cello in there.
I was listening to that and I was like trying to figure out what instrument that was. Now I know. Okay.
Wow, yeah, it's got that rich, you know, that nice,
beautiful,
rich drone there. Yeah.
I was thinking didgeridoo or something like that. It's so bassy,
cool, man.
and sort of like, very nice, very cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, man.
So how many guitars do you have?
At the moment, 3. I had to sell one. I've had to sell many over the years. The thing is, the COVID thing knocked me. You know, I had to sell my Gibson Firebird. Unfortunately, but
not the Firebird.
I did gain a Jacobs Lutherie handmade acoustic, which is unreal. I've got Piet Martin D35, and then I've got an old Court. So I've got the 3 acoustics, and then I've also just received a custom-made Firebird now, which is going to be finished any day now.
Wow.
A friend of mine, Piet Botha, has put this together for me. So he heard about the guitar that got sold, and he built this
stolen.
Guitar. No, not stolen. Sold. Sorry, sold.
Jeez, I was going to say
COVID, you know,
that's worse.
Well, I've had guitars stolen. I mean,
the
whole car stolen with the Fender Strat. What else was in there? Pedals, wah-wah pedals. A classical guitar was in there. So I've had and my Takamine Santa Fe was in there, which I had for 15 years.
Oh, that hurts.
So every musician has had that happen to them, you know, and you learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Because you're always somewhere in, you know, your gear is always somewhere in the car.
Yeah.
And you can't always be there. You have to draw money somehow or buy food somehow, and you know, so you turn around and your car's gone, and there goes all your equipment. So I've had
that
to
must
start
be
over
so
many
incredibly
times,
heartbreaking.
You know. It is, you know, but you get over it. I mean, it's you know, you it is heartbreaking. I still miss some of the guitars very much, especially my SG, the 69 reissue that I had. My brother's Aidan Martin, who's a fantastic artist in his own right, and we had this thing called the Martin Brothers for a while, and he has just released a single called Echo to the Sun, or Echo from the Sun, something like that. I don't know. But he's got my Gibson Les Paul Custom 1979.
Is that the black one?
That's the black one, yeah. So he's got that one with him. So it's in the family, at least that one, you know.
Yeah.
And I've got Piet's 1978 Martin D35 here with me, which he gave to me on his deathbed to look after. So yeah, these guitars I can't sell, you know. So
yeah, no, absolutely, the emotional connection and everything. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but you know, I had to sell the Firebird. It was just too much pressure at that stage, you know. I mean,
was this down to COVID and everything like that?
Yeah, that was with COVID. I mean,
COVID
I was
really
surviving,
stuffed everybody
selling
up,
albums and playing gigs online and stuff like that. But you know, people can't always contribute. You know what I mean? And they can't always buy your album. So it gets to a point. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is the trials and tribulations of being an artist, is that you've got to go through these ebbs and flows to sort of come out smiling and have some sort of connection to, I guess, what people call the real world, you know, whatever the hell that may be. And
true. No, I agree with you.
And the worst thing, I guess, is having to part with something that is part of your artistry, and that cannot be easy. But you got to live.
Well, yeah, you know, look, I've also found, you know, I've had the most expensive guitars, the greatest guitars. I've had the cheapest guitars, and it's nice to have a very nice expensive guitar, but you can very easily take a cheap 1,000 Rand SX Fender Strat copy and turn it into a beast of a guitar and play it and sound better than someone with a 50,000 Rand custom Stratocaster, custom shop. That I've proven that, you know, that's a fact. I've recorded albums with a guitar like that, where people say, "Well, how'd you get this sound? What guitar is it?" It's an SX 1,000 Rand guitar.
Yeah.
You know, why have you got that? No, well, because my other guitar is stolen. I had to use this guitar for a while till I could get, you know, and so on. And then I got the Firebird, and then I sold the cheap one, the cheap SX, which is. So I hope someone's enjoying it out there, because it's a wonderful guitar. But the thing is, in the end, you only need so many guitars. I mean, it's like, you know, you can't play 20 guitars at once, you know what I mean? It's like, it's fine.
I've spoken to some that have got like 17 guitars. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
really?
and I've got friends like that, you know, and they disagree with me, you know, they ain't gonna have everything as many as possible.
If you can,
but
why not, I guess, maybe, you know. You're not going to play it all at once, but, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, what happens in the end, they sit in their cases and they just sit there. You know, it just happens. In the end, you get so many guitars that it's just impossible to get to them, you know, with life and with everything.
Yeah, if you could go back and let's pretend that nothing was stolen or needed to sell or anything like that, would you go back to your younger self and say, keep all your guitars?
Yes, I would. I would.
I wish I had done the same as well, to be honest, but yeah.
I would, but the thing is, man, life happens, bro, and
it does. Shit happens. It's just one of those things.
Freaking something breaks and it's 12,000 Rand and you've got 6 guitars.
Yeah.
You know,
where's your priorities?
And they're expensive guitars.
Yeah.
Or your kid needs freaking the tonsils taken out.
Yeah.
Or your wife needs something. So somewhere along the line, I mean, I had a very wide selection of amazing, expensive guitars. But slowly down the line, I sold them, or they got stolen, or something's happened. But in the end, you know, you're left with what you need and what you can function with and go to the gig with and play your gig and do a good job. And there you go.
Is there a gig too big or too small?
For me, no.
You'll just play. You play anywhere. You're just happy to play.
I'm happy to play. I love the big gigs. They're very exciting, and I get extremely kind of like nervous because the thing is you can't control it as much as you can control the smaller gigs. The sound and the smaller gigs are always better.
Right.
Where at the bigger gigs you have to rely on someone that's like 100 meters away.
Yeah.
Mixing your monitors for you that you can't talk to, and so on, and you maybe you can't hear this and you can't hear that.
Yeah.
So you just have to adapt, and that's where Jackhammer really came in for me, as that experience with that, playing the big stages, like Art Club and whatever, let's say 30,000 people or whatever. Then you go and you play the next day, you play Neisner, Tin Roof Blues, and there's 50 people or 100 people. So just and I can tell you now, 9 times out of 10, the better gigs are the smaller gigs. So
okay. The people that documentaries that I have watched, they all say that.
I wouldn't say not money wise though, but people wise,
people wise. They say that the smaller the venue, the more personal it is, and sometimes the more daunting it is, because it is like 50 people or something, and it's really intimate and really personable. And whereas with the big thing, you can just let loose. And
those are the best because you've got a connection. I don't think I had too much. I don't think, for me personally, I had too much experience in big shows.
Yeah.
I mean, that we did do them, but we weren't a huge band, as in like stadium filling band.
Yeah.
So I think that's a different atmosphere, which I've never experienced myself. I mean, the biggest I've had is Opikopi, or let's say Art Club, and what was that other one? Klein Karoo Festival there.
Right.
I think that gets to like 30,000 around there. But to have like 100,000 people, I think that that's a different energy.
Yeah, that's
especially
totally different.
If they're into your music, like we would go on the Jackhammer, and they would just have like the Campbells would be like before us, and everybody's going ballistic for them. We would walk on there and go in with Midnight Angels, and they'd all look at us with these wide eyes, and like their mouths would hang open, and like, who are these animals? So the energy would be different, and it would be, it's not our crowd, it's like, they'd book us there, but it's not, these people are looking at us like we aliens.
So how do you overcome something like that then, when you have an audience that's sort of like indifferent to
you? Just play your heart out. You get your head down, and you get the band together, and you make eye contact with band members, and get the vibe going. And then from there, from let's say the 4th song, the crowd will start seeing the magic, and you deliver it to them. And then I think that's how you even create new fans. You know what I mean? When it's not your crowd.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you now, you've got a new fan, and that's me.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Norman, man. Really.
You see, a lot goes back to Norman. I mean, old Norm's he's in the background there, but he's
usually in the background getting drunk somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's usually where I would be as well. But
that's
where we met.
That's where
we met. So definitely. And the other thing about Norman is, he's always spreading the word. And I mean, not just me, other bands too.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
He's a wonderful person in that way. And I try to follow that example as well.
Well, this is the thing with this podcast, is that I've been turned on to so many new artists that I didn't even know existed, and in turn, I'm hoping to turn on listeners that never heard of you and all the other artists, and clicking on those links, because that's what it's about for me. It's about getting people to listen to music, man. Go for it. Open your ears. Listen. That's what I say. So let's talk about vinyl. Have you got a vinyl collection?
I used to have.
Don't say used to. Come on.
Yeah, in my early 20s, I had a fantastic vinyl collection. I only believed in vinyl.
Life.
Well, CDs happened, and You know, you move a lot
yeah.
when you single and you traveling musician.
Yeah.
So I didn't always have a home, and
Yeah. Jeepers, yeah.
the road was my home, and things just get lost. I can't tell you what happened to all my records. I can't tell you what happened to all my clothes. I can't tell you what happened to all my personal belongings or things. And the only things I had were guitars and clothes and stuff like that that really, you know,
actually
went with me, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd say if I had that vinyl connection now, you know, after, you know, I had my kid and settled down and stuff, I would have still had that collection.
Yeah.
But, you know, living the life I lived before, you know, it was a wild life, you know, you didn't know where you were going to be. And I didn't want to be anywhere else except the road. So,
Yeah.
you know, when I had my collection, it was a stable, you know, home and stuff.
Yeah.
And after my mom died and stuff, you know, I just didn't care about having a home, really. I was just all over the place. So I would listen to other people's vinyls and, you know, vinyls that I actually owned, but, you know, at their house,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm definitely, yeah.
No, Karen, go on.
I was just saying, no, the resurgence of vinyl again is great because the quality, you know, the sound quality, and that was the whole idea of recording Into the Nebulous Night at such a high quality studio.
Yeah.
Was to release it on vinyl, and I'll still do that. Yes, I'm going to do that.
Awesome.
I just need to get a whole lot of money together, and
it's
money,
not a cheap
you
thing
can
to
always
do,
get. You know, it's not a cheap thing to do. Just 100 copies is $2,000 to produce.
But there's companies in South Africa that can do it, can't they?
You know, not to that quality. No.
Okay, so is it about the weight of the LP?
No, I don't know what it's about. And my knowledge about it is not that good. But what I do know is sound quality.
Right. And
the ones that are being made in South Africa at the moment are not up to scratch.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Excuse the pun.
I'll see what you did there.
Yeah.
Nice
so
one.
You know.
So COVID comes along and then screws up the plans. So what are your survival tips for COVID then? As a musician.
Tips for COVID.
Yeah.
As a musician. Well, you know, like just evolve. That's what I did. You know, immediately I was shocked. You know, I didn't know. I was scared actually, because I've had a kid and a house and a family and you know, at that stage, and you know, didn't know what was going to happen. How we're going to pay the bloody bills and school fees and stuff, and that shock kind of made me go into mode, you know, into like panic mode, and not panic mode, but into operation motivated
overdrive
mode, you know, you know what I mean, and figure out what to do. And what I did was get onto the internet, make live streaming videos, sessions, where people can watch you on good sound visually as well, and have parties at their house, and then put the donations forward, and it did work. And a lot of the times, I actually, people from overseas were very happy about this because they didn't get to see me play live. So people in Germany would tune in, and they were very, and that's why even now I'm still doing them. You know.
Oh, that's great.
So even if I'm not getting the money on it, you know, for them, you know, at the moment anymore so much, but it's just my thank you anyway to people for supporting me.
And it's good PR too. I mean, you've got to keep the interest alive as well.
You know, I mean, one guy's comment freaked me out so much. He said, "I saved his life today by doing that."
Wow.
That session. Now, I don't know what he means by that, but you could take a lot of different meanings out of that. But it's a good thing. You know what I mean? So either way,
it's a good thing. So
my advice is get on that, and basically also just try and promote as much as possible. Don't what do you call it? What's the word? Ignore opportunities.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this podcast, for example. Do everything you can.
Because you never know. I mean, you're
you
know, like you say, somebody might go Jonathan Who, and then go listen to the album and go, "This is brilliant. This saved my life today."
Well, I mean, this is the thing. A guy in Kansas City, he does a show in Kansas City radio with it's KKW357K Kansas City radio or whatever. He's got a show called the Six String. What's it called? Six String World. Yeah.
Right.
You can actually Google it, Six String World, and this guy's name is Paul Sixter, and he discovered my music as well. You know, from all the way from Kansas City, just by doing putting my music on Bandcamp.
Yeah. Bandcamp. Yeah.
You know, so he found it on Bandcamp. You know, so I was blown away. Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what we want to hear.
And then he ended up playing my songs on his show. You know, in Kansas City. So that's how it works.
See, I always think of, when I think of USA and I think of music, you either think of massive big stadium rock and that kind of vibe, or you think like country blues and that sort of thing. And I think your music would fit so perfectly there. I mean, was there ever a thought of like actually leaving South Africa and going abroad?
Yeah, well, that was definitely my plan before Jackhammer.
Right.
And we did go over to Europe at early 2000s, but then there were Germany plans as well. Piet did go to Germany, but I missed out on that tour. I was sick at that stage.
Right.
And then America, it's very difficult to get in there. You got to have some kind of connection.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a big time one. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Piet's dad was Minister of Foreign Affairs, but he retired,
Right.
So, could he? And Piet was also one of those guys. He didn't want to use his
connections,
family connections. You know what I mean? I mean, Piet's first drummer for Jackhammer on the first album, for those who don't know, is Billy Bob Thornton, the actor.
What?
Yeah, this is a true fact. You can go now and look at Jackhammer website or whatever, and you'll see the album Jack of All Trades, recorded in LA.
No ways.
1986 or 7, and Billy Bob Thornton is the drummer.
No,
he actually stayed next to stayed next to Piet in a flat in LA, where Piet was busy working construction, and Billy Bob was a struggling actor, and that's how they became friends. And even when Billy Bob became famous and started doing his music thing, because he also did the music, does his music stuff, and he never, he did contact Billy Bob, but he never used his connections to get ahead, or try and push himself ahead. Piet was not that kind of person, and
rather get there on his own steam.
He would never use people, you know what I mean? He'd take opportunities, but he'd never. And that's a good lesson, and I also try and follow that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Take your opportunities as they come about, but don't
take the piss. Basically, just do it respectfully and
use people and
don't abuse people. I mean,
exactly. And
Billy Bob Thornton,
other people's coattails, I suppose, and that's difficult for me as well to get out of the shadow of Piet, because he casts such a huge shadow.
Yeah.
And wherever I go, people always bring it up, and it's just the way it is. So for me, I'm proud of my Jackhammer days, but it's also, I'd like to, and that's why I'm proud of this new album.
Oh, you should be.
Is that that's all me. You know what I mean? That's me.
This is you. So, yeah. No, well, it certainly works. The 2021 plans, what are they? What do you think is going to happen?
Whoa, bro. I'm just hoping that
that's the
everybody
tough one.
Is I think everybody will just be kind to each other. You know what I mean? And look after each other. You see someone in need, help them. If you see someone that needs help, don't turn your back on them. Help them if you can.
Yeah.
In the smallest way or the biggest way, whichever way.
In any way.
And that's my message, you know, and that's what I want.
So
even for myself.
Do you have any gigs or anything lined up for 2021? Is it far too early to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going down to the Cape end of June. Not June. January.
Right.
I'll be playing at the Karoo Saloon in Barrydale on the 30th and the 31st of January, which is Akatis, Arthur and Rudy's birthday.
Okay.
And they're also launching the Piet Botha stage there.
Nice.
And then I'll be playing the 7th of February. I'll be playing at Bertie's Mooring in Gordons Bay.
Okay.
With Jake Gunn.
Right.
And for the rest of the gigs that I can't remember off the top of my head, you'll have to just go on the
Click
site.
on the socials and everything and find out more.
The guys are busy putting together a JOHNATHAN Martin website at the moment.
Fantastic.
These guys are called the Geek Factory. They're in Bloemfontein based, but they work internationally and they're geniuses with this stuff.
Right.
So
when's that going live?
Well, I'm not sure. They'll tell me, you know.
Okay.
So, but as far as I can see, they're hard at work at it, and it's really looking cool. So, I'll let you guys know. Definitely by the time this podcast.
Okay,
goes
well
out.
then send me links and everything. Yeah, absolutely, and then we'll put it down in the description.
Yeah, no, I'll
below.
stay in contact with you. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, by the time that this podcast come out, you would have had your birthday, which in the time traveling realm, it's in 2 days' time. So from me to you, Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to me, and the happiest of birthdays. Merry Christmas, because this podcast today is the 21st of December. So in 4 days' time, everybody will be celebrating Christmas, and hopefully it won't be a dry one. Hopefully everybody will be able to have a tipple and have a good time with their family without any restrictions.
I think it will, and I think people must just keep with a positive attitude. Don't lose faith in each other, and try and get out there and support the bands. You know what I mean? Get the restaurants and the live music venues believing in the bands again, that they can draw people. Because At the moment, the venues are telling us that we can't pay you because you're not bringing people. Right. So people, don't be afraid, you know, start getting out there again. And, you know, I think slowly but surely it'll happen. And I just want to say thank you to everybody out there who's support my albums, and that's going to buy my album and or listen to it or stream it or, you know, support me in any way. And thanks so much to you for inviting me on your podcast.
Absolute pleasure. All thanks to Norman for the recommendation.
Privilege and a great opportunity for me.
Well, you've got a new fan out of it, so that's a good thing, man. So I'm stoked, man. Totally.
The thing is, I don't really even call it fans. I just say friends. You know what I mean? So there we go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much again, and be safe and enjoy your birthday party and obviously Christmas and everything else that's going to happen this year. I look forward to 2021. We'll post everything in all the links, all the socials in the description below, and people can like, love, share, and do whatever they need to do.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Alrighty. Keep well. Cheers, man.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.